Today we're going to be talking about the 5 different variants of pistols. Starting out, we have our Ruger Blackhawk chambered in .22 long rifle. What I'm going to do for each one of these pistols is tell you a little bit about them, show you how to load them and then unload them, and then also shoot them a little bit. So this Blackhawk is an example of a single action revolver, or one of the earliest versions of a pistol. This was used a long time ago and pretty much is the benchmark of what pistols were. This one comes in .22 long rifle, which is a small vermint round, or for plinking, shooting Coke cans on a log. And how you load this is there is a trap door which you can open to expose the cylinder. What you do is you insert each one of your rounds into the cylinder. And then once you have your 6 rounds in, close the cylinder back up, and then it is ready to fire. Now I'll show you how to fire this particular firearm. So the single action in this revolver means that you have to pull back on the hammer for it to fire. What that looks like is once you pull back on the hammer, it will load the next round in the cylinder under the hammer, and then once you pull the trigger, it will fire. You can decock firearms like this by pulling down on the trigger and slowly releasing the hammer back into a safe position. I'll fire all 6 rounds to show you how this fires. It's a very light impulse because of the .22 long rifle, and also it is a very light trigger pull because it is a single action revolver. How you unload this firearm is you would do the same as if you're loading it. So you open up the trap door, line up your round with the opening, and there is a guide rod up by the barrel, and you slide the guide rod back to drop out your empty shell. You just do that for each one of your cylinders until the firearm is empty. Next, I'll show you the break action demonstrated by the Ruger Contender. This is mostly a hunting pistol. The break open, or the breech action variant of pistol, entails that you will break it open and then load your round into the actual barrel. Once your round is loaded, you can pull back on the hammer and then fire. This is chambered in .22 long rifle. It has a scope on it. It is mainly used for hunting. Again, .22 long rifle, which is a very small bullet, is mostly used for smaller game, like squirrels and chipmunks. Also, they make other barrels for it. So this is a 450 Super Mag, which is a lot bigger of a bullet. And this is used for larger game such as deer. You can also use it pretty much for self-defense against bears. And then the largest barrel that I have is a 4570 government barrel, which fires a ginormous cartridge. This is used for large game, so bears. You can also use these in Africa for hunting trophy game, but I usually just keep the 22 long rifle barrel on. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to load it, fire it, and then unload it. For this particular Ruger Contender, I still have the center fire firing pin inside, mostly because I do use the 450 Super Mag barrel. So I will just show you how to load it, because these 22 long rifles are rim fire and they won't fire from a center fire firing pin. So pretty much you take your cartridge and you stick it directly into the barrel, you close it back up, pull down on the hammer, and then you're ready to fire. You can also do the same decocking method with pulling back on the hammer, releasing the trigger, and then slowly riding the hammer forward. To unload it, you open the breech, take out your round, close it back up, and now the firearm is unloaded. The third pistol variant that I want to go over is the double action pistol, played in part by this Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. So it has the same feature as the single action revolver, where when you pull down the hammer, then it allows you to shoot. But then also with this particular firearm, there is a double action, which just means that once you pull all the way back on the trigger, then it will fire again. This particular pistol fires 357 Magnum, which at one point was the most common handgun cartridge in the world. How to load this firearm is you will release back on this lever that holds the cylinder in place. Once you push forward on it, you can take your rounds and insert them into the cylinder. Once you have your rounds loaded up, you can close the cylinder back up, and then you're ready to fire. And how you unload this particular firearm is open the cylinder back up the same way you did, and then simply tip the firearm over. And if you still have rounds that are not coming out, they have this guide rod which you can push down on that will clear the entire cylinder. Now the firearm is unloaded. The fourth and most common type of pistol used today is the striker fired pistol. You guys have seen this pistol various times on the channel already. This is the SIG P320 TAC Ops, chambered in 9mm. Now I'm going to show you how to load the striker fired semi-automatic pistol. So first, when an empty firearm, you will take your magazine, insert it into the mag well, and then pull back on the slide and release it forward, and now your firearm is ready to fire. I'll just fire off a few rounds for you guys. And I highly recommend that if you're looking for more videos on this particular firearm, because it is one of the most common used firearms, or commonly used firearms in all of America, I would highly recommend you checking out my video on how to train with it, and also a little bit more of a deep dive on how to operate it. Very similar to the striker fired is the external hammer firearm. This is played by the Smith & Wesson 45-66, chambered in 45 ACP, which is a larger, slower, and fatter caliber than the 9mm. You load it the same exact way as the semi-automatic pistol. Rack the slide back. Now that you have one in the chamber, you're ready to fire. And this also has another feature, which is the decocker located on both sides of the slide. Pretty much when the hammer is back, if you pull down on it, then it will fire. You can decock it so that it will enable it into the double action mode, which is the same as the double action revolver. To get it back into single action mode, simply pull back down on the hammer and then you are ready to fire. I'll fire off a few rounds for you guys. One thing that both of the semi-automatic pistols have is once you are out of ammo and you have spent all of your ammo, the slide will lock back to indicate that the firearm is now empty. One thing that you can do is once you top up, you can insert your new magazine, press the mag release, and then get back to firing. Thank you very much for watching this video about the 5 different variants of pistols. If there is something that you recommend I do a video on next, maybe something you're curious about, or if you just have a suggestion for me, I would love to hear more about it. If you drop a comment section down below, or if you drop a comment in the comment section down below. Also, if you did learn something from this video, or you just liked it, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps me kind of narrow down what you guys are looking for. Thank you very much for watching.